All right. Welcome to our office hours for the CEJA reporting system. Today, what we will be focusing on, we have, let me get my page over here. I'm trying to arrange my chat so I can see you. Make sure I can answer any questions you have. All right. So today, we're going to quickly cover the items that will be going out with our Thursday night production release that's scheduled for Thursday night. And then we'll be doing an intake demo. And there are some questions that came up since Wednesday related to, marking people not interested or not enrolled. Some questions about the difference between a transfer and a referral. So we'll go ahead and touch on some of those topics as we're also going through the intake demo. So to start off, there was a question during our last office hours about the profile bug and when is that going to be released for the update for that? And that was in UAT, and so it will be going out with the production release on Thursday night. Another thing that came up that we noticed was that the plan versus actual report had some zeros in it, and the cause for that was it was timing out behind the scenes, and so our developer has put in some updates for to keep it from timing out. So that's in testing. And so that would be planned to go out with our Thursday night release as well. And then one of the other items that was in UAT is an update. This update is specific to the Workforce Hub program, and I covered it briefly on our last office hours, but I'll go there just to kind of give you an overview. I have a person that's just enrolled, so they have open services and so forth. If you go to program completion, then we have our training completion status. And if you say that the person is complete, let me see if I can zoom in here a little bit. Then it's going to prompt you to select what's the scenario for their completion status. Are they successful placement without bridge, completing the bridge? So if that's the scenario that you pick, the system's going to say, hey, do you have all of your other non-bridge, non-job specific services closed? And if not, it'll say action is needed. It'll see for the bridge training service, is it marked as unsuccessful completion? If not, then it'll tell you to do so. And the same thing if a job transition needs to be added. If you say that they have successful placement without job-specific training completion, again, it's going to go through some of those same checks to see, do you have these items? And if you don't, then it will tell you what you need to do. And then for successful completion of bridge and job-specific training, again, it's going to see if you have all your other services closed. Do you have the bridge and have it marked as successful completion? And in this case, I only had a job-specific training marked as successful completion. So in order for me to continue, I need to take care of these other two items. So that's an example of how the system is, we're moving towards adding in those edit checks along with instructions so that we make sure that the data matches, um, it's up, make sure it's up to date and also matches the criteria for the completion statuses. We did have a few help desk tickets this week, but mostly those that came in um, were requests for deleting some duplicate events and partners. And I got a message from David that he does have cards for those, so we will be addressing those. So before I do the intake demo, which we'll talk about, um, you know, the process of, going through inquiry, pre-screening applicant, we're also going to touch on how to mark inquiries and applicants as not enrolled or not interested. And we'll talk about transfers, the difference between transfers and referrals a little bit. Before we get into that segment of our office hours, are there any questions that have come up that you would like to ask? All right. If you have any that you think of along the way, feel free to add them into chat and we'll cover those. Okay, so today's topic is intake. So if you are a navigator or if you are one of the other programs, Workforce Hub, Climate Works, so forth, you can add a customer. And so I'm going to add a customer. And I don't have to put the date of birth there. I don't have to put the phone. I do need to put an email. If they have an email, please put it in. What we want to make sure is that the system will do a check to see if they already have an Illinois WorkNet account. And so, we want to make sure that if they have an account with that email that we already have, we can sync that up. If you don't have an email address, there is an area here that you can select no email and it will put in like a placeholder fake email. But again, we want to make sure that as soon as you have that's updated with the correct email. You can put the address in there. And at this point in time, um, I would say probably most people that we talk to would put them in as an inquiry. You can also put them in as, do not contact. For this purpose, we're going to put them in as an inquiry. Now, if you are a navigator, then only fill out the navigator, pick who you're putting this in as. If you are a provider, then of course, you pick who you are as a provider and putting that information in. Uh, don't pick both or just, again, if the main thing is if you're a navigator, just select yourself as the navigator and leave it at that. And then that way, this person is associated with your account, well, with your organization. I'm happen to be logged in as a provider. I'm just going to go ahead and select the provider. I can put a follow-up date if you like. So once you have the person in at this point, they're an inquiry. You can read the consent and say, I've read the consent and save it. At this point in time, if you're trying to reach out to them, you can add in these comments and add recruiting notes just to, keep track of, talk to them this day and that day. If the person indicates that they're not interested, and they don't want you to contact them anymore, we have a flag for that. It'll mark them as do not contact. Do they need accommodations? If they say yes, you'll have a box here to enter information. If not, you say no. Um, you can put in their date of birth and how they heard about the program. Are they interested in construction building trades? Interested in clean energy? If so, what aspect of clean energy? Are you interested in applying for an apprenticeship program? Yes or no? Are you, you can talk about the different programs and if they have, um, are they willing to put in the time commitment? Are they able to? They say yes. You talk about different support services that are offered that are available to them. So they can say yes, no, or unsure. You have your address in there and it'll check to see if they're in an EJC R3. Um, Still answer these questions down here, but if they aren't in one of those areas, these are some of the other questions that can make them eligible for these programs. So we'll just say no for everything right now. We have their um, demographic information, veteran status, do they have a high school diploma? And then you can see it does some, these are the different checks like that could make them eligible for this program. You can see which programs that they would be eligible for, and then you can select a program. Okay, so one of the questions or the instances that comes up is what's the difference because terminology um, uh, it's important for this particular aspect of when we talk about, oh, we're going to refer somebody to another program versus transferring them. And a lot of places, have that's been a point where they're kind of confused because when they think of transferring them as like, oh, I've been working with you as a navigator, transfer them over to me. Where at this stage, what we talk about at this point, it's a referral. So if I'm a navigator and I'm entering in and I want to send them to a workforce hub, then that's referring them. The same thing, if I was working with somebody and I'm going to move them to a different program, then I can, uh, select that program. And depending on the information that's in the system, it'll either tell you they do not meet pre-screen requirements, or they meet pre-screening requirements and they're not participating at this time, or they're interested in participating. So if you have a person that's been, um, initially you thought they were interested and so forth, but you know, they didn't, they changed their mind. You can update this to not participating. But we're gonna go ahead and say this person's interested in participating, and I'm gonna select a workforce hub, and I am going to select a date, and you can enter notes. And at this point in time, it is going to take the information that's in the system and check to see if we already have an Illinois WorkNet account for this person. So it's going to ask me to re-enter the email because we want to make sure that it is correct. And then it's going to search to see if is an existing account. And if there is, then it will let you know that the account already exists. And if not, it'll create the Illinois WorkNet account for the individual. When you move on into this part and go into the application, now they're an applicant. And the application just asks just a few more questions, not many. Do you have your social security number? Or you can say yes and you can put it in there. If they have it but they don't have their card with them, you can say yes, but I don't have my card, or you can say no. Either way, you have, either way whatever way you answer this question, it's a required question to ask, but it's not going to stop the person from participating in the program. I'm going to enter in a phone number and what type, have the date of birth, what sex were you assigned at birth on your birth certificate, how do you currently describe yourself, are you authorized to work, and then the other information pulls through, and then you can save and to the next page, which is it does the eligibility check. So it checks to make sure that your information is here. So you have to be authorized to work in the United States and at least one of these criteria. So we've met at least that. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. If I say I'm not interested, it'll say not enrolled, not interested. But I'm going to go ahead and continue on to intake. You'll be able to see the responses for the uh, application, and then you can sign. You can have, this would be the signature for the person, or I'm sorry, the username and password for the individual. You could send them a link, or if you have it, you can just upload the file, and then you would just browse. We'll just put that in there for now. And then the date. And then sign it. And you'll see that the person's signature is here as well as the date. You can either use your name and password or use the same, use the upload. So I think I'm an S tester 3. And I can sign in and it'll save the date. So I can return to the intake. And from here, now a navigator and either whether you're in a navigator or in one of the other CEJA programs, you can complete the inquiry, the pre-screening, and the application. You can also you can complete anything basically on this page, on the intake page, as either one of those programs. But as a navigator, you won't see career plan referral or program completion, but you'll see progress and intake. So if you have a person that requires, some additional funds, maybe like a gas card, you can put that on here as a note to indicate that this person um, needed, you provided some support services to help them, with completing this intake process. So that's how you would add that information. You can do the career assessment. You can have, I'm not worked before, I'm employed, I'm self-employed. So there's these different options here. So if you say, like, I'm employed, you'll enter in wage and employer information, job duties. I'm just, for time's sake, I'm going to say I've not worked before. You'll have lifting requirements in general. I can lift so much. I can stand for so much. And my career goal is solar. My secondary career goal is that. We have some other items here you can check, or if you can just say, I'm interested in learning about clean energy careers, and hit save. And then that will be saved on this page. When you open it, you'll just see the summary. If you have any changes at this way we have it saved right now, is you would just redo it. You can remove it and redo it. You can do your service needs assessment. The service needs assessment has an area for accommodations, technical assistance like computers and so forth, uh, transportation, childcare, housing, food, healthcare, legal assistance, financial literacy, mentorship, and application fees and other support. As you go into these, let's say, um, all of these questions are required, so you have to say either yes, no, or not applicable. But if you say, yep, I have this, I feel confident, but no, maybe I don't have a phone. I already said I did, but if you said, no, I don't have a phone, or you'll see that under each of these areas, it pops open. Do you need to send them, uh, give them a referral to get a phone, um, or are you going to provide some in-house support? So each of these changes, depending on how you answer these questions. So, for example, yes, I have transportation concerns. I do not have transportation. I need these items here. And then you can type in comments, notes as well. So let me just go ahead. I'll leave, let's see here. Answer those. And I'm just going to say no for a bunch of these just to make it faster. And then I'm going to submit this. And you can make updates to the service finder, the service needs assessment, um, as you need to, and you can see the summary of that service needs assessment as well. We have a link here that will show you all of those assessments, the pre-screening, the application, the career plan, and the service needs all in one long page. So that was a request it's helpful for people to look at all that at one time. And then you'll see now the customer status is currently in application. So as you move through the intake process, it goes from inquiry to pre-screening to application, and then it'll go to enrolled. And those happen automatically as you go through the process. So right now, you're an applicant, and if you decide not to participate at this point in time, you can indicate that the customer declined to participate, and it'll say not enrolled, declined to participate. I'm going to undo that, and then I'll move them back to applicant. Once they are enrolled, then you will need to withdraw them from the program because they have received services. You can transfer customers to different navigator or grantee up until the point like they're enrolled. So when you do this, you hit transfer customers, and so this is the difference between referral and transfer. So the transfer means you're literally going to move this person from, you know, this current program, and basically you're going to like give up access to them and move all their stuff over with another program. So if you wanted to move it, to a different program or refer them back to the navigator, you can select that information. And then let's see here, if I did this, then I would, choose one of these areas and then put in the reason that I am submitting this transfer. And I'm going to show you instructions for that in just a moment, but so we don't get too sidetracked here. So both of these can happen before the person, while the person is an applicant. And once they are enrolled, then of course, you'd have to withdraw them before they can move over and apply for a different program. You can upload any signed agreements. Um, you can add case notes, and this is where you can add a cohort. It's going to be updated, but at this point in time, this is the current process for adding a cohort to a person. You can add them as a bridge. You can add, a job specific cohort in there as well. That's where you document those. And then you would move on into where, you would do the add-in services and so forth. But this is the intake process through the intake tab. Now, for those navigators that are out there, let's see here, you will, even though, like, even if you do the the adding them as an inquiry, you do the pre-screening. So when you do the inquiry, you select your organization as a navigator, and then you'll do the pre-screening, which will refer them to a program. So if they go to Workforce Hub, it'll, um, they'll be able to complete the application for the Workforce Hub. And then you'll be able to, depending on how your work customer flow goes in your areas, you can complete the application, you can complete the pre-screening, I'm sorry, you can complete the application, the career assessment, and the service needs assessment. And then either as a navigator or one of the other programs. And all that information will be saved in there. And then that program will continue on to add in services, referral, program completion status, and all that kind of good stuff. The program will. And so some of the questions that have come up is like, yeah, but how do I see where they are? How do I know something's been going on with them? So as a navigator, you'll be able to see their statuses. So as things happen and things are documented in the system, it'll populate this progress page. So you'll be able to see where those customers are in the process. Okay. I would, I'm going to go jump over here real quick. Here, I'm going to show you where to find it first. In your, excuse me, in your partner guides, you know how to get to your partner guides down here. There's this, got like a quick start guide down here with adding customers and completing the pre-screening. There is a link here for transferring customers. And so the set of instructions, I'm sorry, hold on. This set of instructions covers um, everything from whenever you're adding a customer. So let me zoom into this just a little bit. When you're adding a customer and all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait a minute, Natasha already exists. It says they're already in here. How's that happen? You can click this button that says basically, you know, Natasha may be with you, but Natasha also says that they want to enroll in my organization, and hit save. And then um, then you'll be able to put, the information in here like we showed before. And basically it sends a transfer request, says that they've been transferred or requested transfer. At this point in time, for those types of transfers, we have a line on the dashboard that says respond to transfer request. And so, it's good to check that dashboard. This says, check it daily, but check it often so that you can see if you have any transfer requests. And then, so let's say I click on the number 2 and I have 2 people or that were or transfer. my screen went blank. Hold on. I select the person. When I get to the top of their pre-screening at this stage, there's a button here that says respond to the transfer request. And when I do that, then I can either say, yeah, that's fine, we can transfer them, or no, we're not transferring them. I see some comments, so here I want to go and look. Okay. Just checking the chat. um, yeah, so you know, this you can say yes or no. So if you're looking at this for a person that's an applicant, pre-screening or applicant status, um, remember, like up to this point for an inquiry, they just are, you know, just those little modals. They don't have an Illinois WorkNet account number. They have that pre-screening sheet, you know, modal window. And then once you complete the pre-screening, then they have, you know, the progress page and the intake. And then, so when to get to those individuals, you know, you're going to find the person, whether pre-screen or applicant, and you can click on their name. You go to their intake page, and then you'll see a respond to request. And again, you can accept it or reject it. And then I showed you how to transfer a customer if they're an applicant. If you send the information for pre-screening or an applicant request, then they'll, you know, get this message here as an email, and then they can select it and again go back onto that intake page and respond to the request as either accepting it or rejecting it. So hopefully that is helpful. um, there's a lot to it because there's different statuses, and but just remember the main thing is if they, you know, if there's still an inquiry, or it'll be up at their, well, I can't find it now, but it'll be on their pre-screening at the top of the pre-screening. But once they, you know, have their progress page and their you know, their intake page, then that respond to request button will be on that intake page. All right, I've been talking for a really long time. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, Julie.
So my question is, I think our navigator has a different role than some locations navigator. So our navigator also serves as our barrier reduction person. And so my question is, like, I just wanted to explain that part to ask
Mm,
this question. If I get a referral from a different navigator into my system, is there a way that I get notified of that? And I'm asking because that happened recently, and it's totally fine, except that I didn't know, and I actually stumbled across this person in there, because my
yeah,
navigator and I talk a lot,
so
and
can you
so we
say it one
know.
more time?
Yeah,
Say it one more time so
I,
I
I'm
just make
sorry,
sure.
I don't know if I'm making sense.
No, I just want to
So
make sure I'm hearing you. All right.
yeah, so a navigator outside of my immediate hub, so not my navigator that I work directly with, someone else um, linked a person to me initially, like didn't do a transfer, but they linked them to me because they do intakes and then they just put them wherever they want to go.
Like
And
in
they put them
pre-screening, they
right
referred them
during
to you with the
pre-screening
pre-screen.
and they put them in. So, but I only knew that because I actually stumbled across it and saw somebody who I didn't recognize in my list because my navigator and I talk every single day. So I kind of know who's going to be there. Is
Mm-hmm.
there anything built into the system that would bring in notification? I'd hate to ignore somebody because I wasn't aware that they were there until I came across them. Is there any
Yeah,
way to,
um, that would, we need to, I think that would be a good enhancement. We've talked about, like possible solutions for that. Let me see here, trying to find my stuff. And, Oh, what am I in here? Sorry. Let's see if this one's timed out. It looks like I got kicked out of everything here. Um, I guess one of my, like off the top of my head, kind of what I'm thinking is that, well, again, we've talked about a variety of things for solutions, and one of them is like updating a dashboard. And I'm just wondering if there's something that, let's see, hold on. Let me just log in real quick. I'm wondering if there's a way that we can add like a flag of some sort, not a status necessarily, but more like some kind of indicator flag, like this person, if I look at inquiries. No, but yours would have been an applicant. They went straight to applicant, didn't they?
Right, an applicant.
Um, so, um,
I never worried about anybody being flagged before, but it just happened to be for me. That was the first time that had happened to me. And so I didn't know.
yeah, I was trying to think of a way that's not going to like bombard people with like an email notice, because then again, it just gets mixed, it just gets, uh, you know, it's just, it's the same thing. It's just different, it's just like bombarded with a ton of emails, that just came in. But I'm wondering if we could do like some type of a flag, like this person has come in, like within. You tell me like what would be more helpful, and I'll figure out if we can do it or not. But like
I
this
honestly
applicant.
don't know. It's just like it's only happened to me once, and it may
Uh-huh.
never happen again. I don't know. But I would hate to miss somebody and not be doing appropriate follow-up with them and not be accounting them in my numbers
Yeah,
as far as like because we have a limited number of students we allow in our programs um, at different times. So I don't want to not include somebody in a number for something like that because I didn't realize they were part of my list.
yeah. The one thing we do is have like applicants,
Something in the
like
conversation
application that hasn't been done
because like
for 10 days or more. You know, I mean, we have different flags like for they haven't been, it's like something hasn't been done with, they haven't been completed within 10 days. So we have those different types of flags in that sense.
I
I'm just
just need to
trying to,
remember to check that on a regular basis.
well,
Okay.
yeah, or I was just trying to think of like what is, something that's useful,
no,
like,
we need an email because I'm the one that transferred them to her, and it's a problem because if we're transferring people over, and especially for the Metro East area where we do have an overlap between them and Macedonia, it's gray areas for us. We do need some kind of way to alert the other programs that we need to transfer or they need to be
y
transferred over.
yeah,
Other
referred,
than me just picking up the
referred or
phone. Oh,
transferred, referred, that you referred them over there.
well, yeah, because like when we do the application on our end and intake, sometimes like people are like they sit between East St. Louis and Alton, right? So they in this gray area. So it's sometimes it's like, okay, well, yeah, I can send them to Macedonia and Jackie and them, but then sometimes they be like, hey, I'm closer to Alton. So like, what do I do in that situation? Or in a situation that we have people that's like, hey, oh, I live in East St. Louis, but you know what? I'm really going back to Chicago, you know what I'm saying, in a few months. So is there any way I can get in the program in Chicago? So then like I had to spend time on the phone with Larry to see who we can place people with when they come back to Chicago. You know, it's kind of time consuming on that factor. And that's what she's talking about too. And then also I feel bad too because like the person there is sometimes just sitting there because the program directors and stuff haven't been notified.
Yeah. So if you do a transfer, they do get an email notification, like for applications. But what I'm thinking is like whenever you do the pre-screening and you complete the application, is there a way to almost, how like you have like your email is where it's, you send it, but it's like still marked as unread type thing? And so that's the kind of flag, because if you send it every single time there's an application, then that's just a bombardment of emails with like all these applications, which they could easily go to their, system and just see how many applications they have. But it's those ones that are like those unread, kind of like your unread emails. It's like the flag that I was trying to get to. I mean, would something like that be helpful? Like, oh, I didn't realize I missed
Notification
these
in the
unread
CEJA
ones.
system?
Hmm.
Can y'all put a notification? Can you put a notification in the system?
So are you meaning, Natasha, that like if somebody assigns somebody new to me and I don't open that file after a certain period of time and look at their account, then it would flag me and say, hey, I don't know if you know this is here. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, or just like, I'm
Yeah,
not saying this is what it would be like, but let's just pretend like this is like your email. So like this entire line
sure.
is bolded or something. You know what I mean? Kind of like your email
Yeah,
is bolded. And then you're like, oh, wait a minute, like I have not touched these because
yeah,
we have other flags for notifications because we have a dashboard that, says like, oh, this application hasn't been touched in like 10 days, or there's still an applicant after
yes.
10 days, like do something with them.
I think that would be
But what it
helpful,
sounds to
yes.
me, so we need a certain way, a solution that it's like to differentiate between the unread type things versus the ones that I looked at it, but I'm not doing anything with it right yet type deal.
Tasha, this is Diana. I think this is a good conversation and I appreciate the feedback from the grantees. I would like to take this back to the lab with you so we can discuss this and try to find a reasonable solution for everybody.
Sure.
There's also a note in the chat as well asking about perhaps a daily email that summarizes transfers.
Transfers or referrals or
Yeah, we got
everything?
to be clear. We got to be clear that there are two things going on here, two different scenarios. One is a transfer and one is a referral. And what Natasha is trying to make clear to us is that with an email address notification, everybody will be bombarded with referral applications that's going to be sitting there just the same as they're sitting there now in the system.
And I guess since we're trying to be clear about referral versus transfer, I guess I would ask Lindsay, who made that comment, did you mean transfers or did you mean referrals? Referrals being the ones that you can continue to track after you move them to another grantee, and the transfer is where you completely break the link and you're just transferring them out for another entity to handle them without you doing any follow-up. I got a sneaking suspicion she means referrals.
Julie in the
Okay.
chat says her issue is referrals too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we can, come up with some possible solutions. If you have something that you would like to suggest as a solution to consider, feel free to send it to us.
Yeah, this is a long-standing issue, and so yeah. However, we could come up with a streamlined way of making it easy for navigators to know how the results, and for hubs and climate works to be able to pick them up, all the better. Look forward to this conversation.
All right. We do appreciate all the feedback, so that's good. I'm glad that hopefully we're getting more comfortable with, making sure we're on the same page with referrals versus transfers, because we don't want to assume. So Are there any additional questions besides what we had already talked about? Any other topics? Okay. Gabriel?
Hi, yes, it's Gabriel Perez from Central States Area, Northern Region. Is it possible just to quickly demonstrate how to perform a referral for a navigator to make sure that we're doing that appropriately, and also a journey of where we could see a customer journey after that point?
Yeah, so simply, let me just find an inquiry that's already in here. So to do the referral is you just add your customer, you know, like you do, and you select you as a navigator, okay? So when you add the person, you have you as a navigator, and then that associates that person with your organization so that you can watch, you know, the customer kind of like through their journey. And then I'm going to pick this person. And this is an example. You can see they have notes and stuff like that. And then looks like we'll go ahead and as a navigator, you fill out the information in the pre-screening. I'm just going to pick some stuff here real quick. And then say yes to everything because this person I don't think it's not an RJC or EJC R3. Yeah, so they don't live in this person, it's not in the EJC R3. So I picked the other stuff to make them, you know, eligible. And so at this point in time, excuse me, you would pick a program and then you could pick they're interested in participating and they meet the pre-screening requirements. And then you select the provider and you enter in the pre-screening date. And this is how you make a referral, literally right here. So you've gone through, you've done some pre-screening, and what this does is you refer them to either Workforce Hub program, Climate Works program, some other program. And when you hit submit, then, you know, you go through and add in this ONBALLARD@noemail.com. And it's going to search to see if there's an Illinois WorkNet account. And then at this point in time, they have been referred to the Workforce Hub program. And so whenever either you or somebody else completes this application, that will make them applying, you know, like they've applied for a Workforce Hub program with that particular provider. Oh, we'll just move on without the signature piece for now. But yeah, so as navigator, you know, like I said, you can fill out this rest of this information. And then as a Workforce Hub person, which is what my test person is right now, when I click on this, then they will enter in the different services. And then, you know, they'll add in like their start and end dates and all, and then the completion status and all that kind of good stuff. Let me go back to a different person. Let's pick maybe this person, see what they got. As a navigator, you won't be able to see these last three, but you'd be able to see what they are as far as like, you know, what they've done for intake, if they've had any referrals, where they are with their training. You know, it says that they needed these wraparound services. So far, they don't have these wraparound services. You know, you can see what credentials they've earned and so forth. So you'll be able to see, you know, what data's in the system for this person as a navigator. But you don't have to enter this information. You know, it's the program, the Workforce Hub program or Climate Works or Returning Residents. Those are the ones that'll be entering the data.
Thank you, Natasha. Can you please just for the sake of visuals, click on the view edit link next to referral status?
As a navigator, you won't be able to view those details. You'll just be able to see what's in the progress and intake page. This is a summary of everything else that's in these. Because like this,
Okay.
yeah, like this opens up this career plan.
Got it. So essentially, like if the participant wasn't selected, is there a way we could find that out without like as opposed to an email bounce back?
If they weren't selected, so that's a good point. I guess as far as not selected, I don't know how that works. I don't know versus like put on a wait list versus not selected. You know, they would just be like an applicant for, you know, I don't know if there's like a way to like, you could see if we have the options of not enrolled, not interested, you know, if they indicate that in the, you know, like the pre-screening or the, let me say, what am I thinking? The application, their status will change to like not enrolled, not interested.
Natasha, I do think.
Okay, so like, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was gonna say I do think part of this is like, impressing upon folks that resolving that application status is kind of a key to this. And so like you mentioned a couple there, but I think also, right, like refer back to Navigator
Mm-hmm.
would be another one that would give the navigator then the clue or you know the signal that, hey, this person needs additional follow-up, you know. And I think I think there's also just some workflow that should be developed between the grantees as kind of like fail safes here too. And this might, I think, you know, I think this applies to some of our referrals as well. Like it's always a good idea to just pick up the phone and call the program, and say, hey, what's going on? Maybe that's a once a week kind of check in, or once every other week check in to say, you know, hey, I referred 12 people over to you or whatever. But like I think on this one, right, where they, you know, they could be an applicant on a wait list, and then the discussion is not so much of how do we find this person in another program, but how do we keep them engaged while they're on the wait list, and who is the appropriate person to, or you know, who's the appropriate organization to keep up that contact, whether the navigator or the hub. And I think some of that should kind of be a joint conversation between the two programs to say, you know, okay, once you refer them over to me as an applicant, I, as the workforce hub, will pick them up and do the next steps. Or you refer them over to me as an applicant, but just know in 2 weeks you should follow up with them to make sure they don't have any additional service needs, or you know, want to find a different program. Some of that I think for the people who remain as applicants on a wait list, I think some of that is workflow that should be developed between the grantees. But I do agree too that like, you know, I think resolving that applicant status is a big key, because I know I've seen, and I'm working with several of the grantees in the central region on this, where it's like, you know, long-standing applications in there, and in some cases it's, well, we tried to reach out to them and they never got back to us. Well, then let's, at some point we should resolve that applicant status to say not interested, you know, do not contact, whatever the situation is. But I think clearing some of those backlogs of applicants will help with this too.
All right, yeah, just a couple more minutes.
And then also,
Oh.
also agree with the idea of like, let's get together and think of a solution to the missed referrals.
Mhm.
I didn't want to gloss over that. I just saying, communication is always a good idea too. But yeah, let's figure out a solution on those.
Okay. Any other last minute? We just have a couple minutes. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Al.